Now this is sort of a part 2 to last week's video, which was my guide on creating an efficient home kitchen. So I'd recommend you check that one out if you haven't seen it yet. But to quickly summarize, in that video we covered in detail how to lay out your kitchen in order to make the cooking process as efficient as possible. And where we left off, I mentioned that one of the biggest improvements you can make to your kitchen is to get rid of excess unused equipment and miscellaneous clutter. And in fact, that's the first step that you absolutely need to take before you can even think about organizing. Because we all have things in our kitchen that we no longer use, and by getting rid of those items, we can better store and organize the things that we do use. So in turn, your kitchen will look and feel a lot better, and cooking will become easier and less stressful. So assuming you've now got only the things that you need and use regularly, let's talk about storage solutions. And here are my top 3 tips when it comes to kitchen storage. Number 1, store items vertically in cabinets. When you store items vertically, you're making much better use of your space, and perhaps even more importantly, it's easier to find what you need and to grab it out of the cabinet quickly. Because when items are stored horizontally, you're often forced to stack things on top of each other, meaning that you need to take everything out just to get out the one item that you need at the bottom of the pile. And on top of that, your equipment will be much better taken care of when stored vertically, because you've probably spent a fair amount of money on your kitchen equipment, so you definitely want it to last. Just think, if you were a pan, would you like to be crammed into a cabinet underneath a pile of other heavy equipment, or would you rather be placed nicely into an organizer with plenty of room to breathe? I think we all know the answer, and personally, I'm a firm believer that the better you treat your equipment, the better it'll treat you. Now my next tip is to use storage bins. So I'm currently using these clear plastic ones, but metal wire bins would be another good option. And basically the idea is that these bins help to section off your cabinets and your refrigerator. So you can label each bin with a category of equipment or ingredient that you keep in it, and in turn it'll be much quicker and easier to find what you're looking for. And you're again more able to utilize the vertical space in your cabinets. And on top of that, the bins help to corral your items so they stay more organized and more easily accessible. Now my third recommendation for cabinet organization is to decant ingredients whenever possible, because the grocery store containers that ingredients come in are not exactly designed for efficient storage. And to me, there aren't many things more stressful than opening a cabinet to look for a particular ingredient, only to find a mess of bags and containers of all different shapes and sizes. So by decanting your ingredients into uniform clear containers, you'll massively reduce visual clutter in your cabinets, making them much more aesthetically pleasing. And more importantly, your cabinet will be better organized, which will make it super quick and easy to find what you're looking for. And if you like to buy ingredients in bulk, that's not a problem either. What I like to do after I decant my ingredients is just to throw the partially emptied bags into a separate box, which I can then store out of sight and out of the way until it's time to refill something. But now, if you've done everything we've talked about and you're still struggling to find space in your kitchen, it's time to turn to some hacks. And even if you don't need to use these hacks for space-saving purposes, they can be nice just for the sake of simplicity and added convenience. And in fact, I'm using a few of them myself. So I got a lot of these ideas from a book called Remodelista. And don't be fooled by the name, it is a great book not just for kitchen organization, but for organization across your entire home. It gives a ton of practical tips for more efficient storage, along with a few less conventional hacks, like mounting your paper towel roll inside of a cabinet, which is one that I think has honestly changed my life forever. Anyways, I'd highly recommend checking out the book, but here are just a few practical ideas that I picked up from it. Number 1, utilize the space above your counters by mounting things on the wall. So this is what I did with my magnetic knife rack, but you could do something similar with pot lids or even pans and other kitchen equipment. And since I rent an apartment, I actually just mounted my knife rack using command strips, and they're more than strong enough to get the job done. Now the book also suggests hanging things using tension rods, which is another renter-friendly solution that can save a ton of space, and it can actually be pretty aesthetically pleasing when done well. And along those same lines, you could use a cork board to hang cooking utensils or metal towel rods to hang pot lids, for example. So there really are a lot of possibilities for utilizing that typically wasted vertical space above your counters. Then when it comes to saving cabinet space, my favorite solution, aside from those mentioned earlier in this video, is to use shelf organizers. So this is yet another way to utilize your vertical space, and it's great for things like plates and mugs that either can't be stacked vertically or that are still relatively short when stacked. Then finally, if you have particularly large countertop appliances like a juicer, stand mixer, or a rice cooker, you may want to consider storing them on top of your kitchen cabinets if you have space up there, or even in a nearby closet outside of the kitchen, which is actually my preferred option, just so that they're completely out of sight. But either way, the idea is that if these are things you don't use very frequently, you don't want them taking up your prime storage space. So if they easily fit into your kitchen cabinets, then by all means you should store them there. But if doing so would mean that you have to store your other, more frequently used equipment in a worse location, then I don't think that's a worthwhile trade-off. So once you declutter, organize, and optimize your kitchen, you'll never want to go back. It just makes the cooking process so much more efficient, more calming, and less stressful. And most importantly, it makes you more motivated to keep on cooking. So again, if you missed part 1 of this series, I'd highly recommend you check it out right here, as combining the tips from both of these videos will help you to create the ultimate efficient, organized kitchen. Either way, thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.